State University. We are thrilled to be here for our latest episode. Today on the show, we got a lot to catch up on. We have on the stage with us the Commissioner of Higher Education for the state of Louisiana, Dr. Kim Hunter Reed. We'll also see what's good with Antoinette Livingston. She's the Director of Career Services here at Grambling State. We'll also catch up with Kelly Copes, Miss Grambling State University, and Cortland Williams is Senior Class President. And we'll also see what's going on with the Interim Department Head of History, that is Dr. Edward Holt. This will be a very informative program. Stay tuned after this break for more here on Prez Says.
All right, well, look, we're back, and Dr. Kim Hunter Reed, thank you so much for joining us this morning for Prez Says. And ordinarily, Charleston's doing all of the questioning, but I told him with Dr. Reed being here this morning, I wanted to kind of kick this conversation off with you. And so, again, welcome. We're so glad to have you here this morning.
Thank you so much, Rick. Delighted to be here.
Well, look, a lot of people may not know of your connection to Grambling State University, not just wearing the black and gold this morning.
That's right.
Yeah, so tell all of our viewers and listeners about your connection to Grambling.
Well, sure. My parents met here. They're both Grambling graduates, and so I'm Grambling made, obviously, right? I wouldn't be here without that. My dad played football for Coach Rob, left-handed quarterback in the museum, the wonderful museum. My mom went to in the College of Education program and was a Head Start director, and so we are a family that certainly supports HBCUs, but this is a special place. So when I drove up this morning, I saw the photos of Coach Rob outside the stadium, the Willis Reed banners. So it's special. And I talked to my dad yesterday to let him know I was coming. So he's so proud of Grambling. And as you know, all of your alums love to talk about Grambling. There's no place like Grambling, a place where everybody is somebody.
That's right.
And so it's special to be here.
Great. And, of course, so your beginnings really started right here with your parents. So, one of the things that I certainly have appreciated during my tenure as president is how supportive you have been, as Commissioner of Higher Education, not just for Grambling, but certainly you have been incredibly supportive, as well as the Board of Regents and everyone. So, want to just thank you for that. And, if you want to just kind of tell us, what's going on the higher ed landscape right now, and things that you think our viewers would want to hear about in higher ed right now.
Well, obviously, we're in a legislative session, and as a former legislator, it's very important that we are making the case for why this investment must be sustained, a cradle-to-career investment. And so yesterday, I had an opportunity to be in the House chamber talking about the dollars that are going to be used to develop talent, like cyber talent, nurses, teachers, all of those areas. The faculty pay raise that we're fighting for. Issues, and how do we make sure that when parents send their children to Grambling or other places, that they have confidence that it's going to be a learning environment that's going to be wonderful for students, but safe for students as well. And so there are lots of conversations that we're having right now about talent development and how do we make sure Louisiana prospers. And we know our institutions are the pathway to prosperity for our people. No doubt about that.
Absolutely. And, one of the things I noticed, so you were actually on the floor of the House yesterday during budget conversations. How has that been? Because it certainly, in my time in the legislature, all of the agency heads and everyone sort of sat on the side, right? So how has that been being in the well of the House during this the budget bill presentation?
It was an unusual experience for me. Never had the opportunity to do that, but Representative Hughes asked for two pieces of information: what's in the budget for higher ed, and where does higher ed stand compared to other states in the nation. And so it was really another great opportunity for us to talk about a thank you for the 2 years of historic investment. But the fact is, we're last in the southern region in terms of investment, in state investment, and we are, I think, 46th in the country. And so we have a long way to go. And we are a state that has poverty, but we are a state that has a lot of potential. And people want to have the ability to thrive and support their families, and education is how we do that. So it was a really great experience to have the few minutes to really talk about and answer specific questions about what we're trying to do in higher education.
Well, and we talk about, where we are in terms of the SREB average, and I know you were a part of the team supporting former Governor Kathleen Babineau Blanco when we did, in fact, hit the southern regional average. What does that look like for us to at least get back to the average, and have you all seen any headway on possibly getting back to the SREB average for funding?
Obviously we are challenged with our funding when all we aspire to do is be the average, right? And so it tells you just how far we have to go. We're last in the southern states. And so you look at states like Alabama and others where they're doing 3 times more per student FTE in investment. Our students aren't worth 3 times less. Their students aren't worth 3 times more. And so we have work to do. The legislature, as you know from being there, has unlimited requests and limited resource.
Sure.
And so it's on all of us to make sure we are making the case, not just the higher education leaders, but the entire state, all of the community leaders, individual citizens, parents, or citizens who may not have children in school. They too need to be saying we need to invest in education. It's so very important.
And one of the other initiatives, switching gears a little bit, that you've been very involved in is the HBCU Advisory Council, and of course being coordinated by you and by your staff there at the Board of Regents. Tell us about the importance of your investment of time in the HBCU Advisory Council.
The legislature put the council at the Board of Regents for one reason. They wanted the HBCUs to be a first thought and not an afterthought when it comes to recruiting companies to Louisiana. From there, as you know, sitting on the council, we've had an opportunity to learn about economic opportunities, research opportunities, academic opportunities, and then we had, with you chairing the publicity committee, we just had the opportunity to launch the exhibits, the HBCU exhibits in the State Museum. That is an important statement about the value of our HBCUs. That's individuals who visit, school students, international visitors will see the HBCU experience and understand how the HBCUs are shaping the work here in Louisiana, past, present, and future.
Sure. And of course, in my role, and especially coming in, you sort of had the privates on one side, the private HBCUs on one side, the publics on the other. One of the things that I have certainly enjoyed seeing is the collaboration of both the public and private HBCUs. How do you think that impacts our voice and our messaging, seeing both publics and privates together in that effort?
We're stronger together.
Yeah.
And we have a unique niche when it comes to educating students. All the research clearly shows that HBCU students feel that they're more nurtured, there's someone in their corner, they're more likely to have strong student success. And so I do think we are stronger when we tell an HBCU story collectively. And I will say for you, as publicity chair, we couldn't have a better one, right? You're rocking the Grambling brand, you're rocking the cool tennis shoes, you're talking about the power of HBCUs. You have a national conversation, not just a state conversation, so thank you for the work you do.
Well, and I'm getting the signal, so
yes.
Dr. Kim Hunter-Reid, thank you so much for being with us this morning on Prez Says. God bless you, and thank you so much for everything you do for higher education.
Thank you. You're a fabulous leader, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
and we are back here with our latest episode of Prez Says. Joining us on the stage, we have Antoinette Livingston. She was recently named the Director of Career Services here at Grambling State University. Having recently served as the Assistant Director, she organized and directed the 54th Annual Lonnie Smith Career Fair, which was one of the most largest and most attended career fairs that we had for a number of years here at GSU. Good morning, Ms. Livingston. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm well. So speaking of the career fair, tell us about that recent career fair and the companies that were there and everything involved for those who may be unaware or unfamiliar with the career fair.
So this year's career fair had 75 employers. We had over 300 students, even though we had a glitch. So we think it was right around 500. Numerous job offers, internship offers, great reviews from employers and students. I want you to know, Prez, somebody said I did a yeoman's job. One of my favorite reviews was somebody said when I left, I wondered, did I miss out on going to an HBCU? So it was a great experience. I've had students who come by to talk to me. Just one student came by just to say thank you. So we're working on a situation where we want bigger and better.
Well, and what are you seeing in terms of the student engagement with your office, and how is that going?
Student engagement, as of last week, we had over 1,000 engagements with students, and that includes the career fair, classroom visits. It includes students who come by repeatedly to get their resume reviewed and updated. It's good, right? At 1,000, and we started counting in February, so we didn't even start counting when I first got here. We started counting in February. We're keeping really good records so we can understand what our students' needs are and be able to match them better as we move forward.
And what's the feedback you're getting from the employers, and not just the ones who were here at the career fair, and certainly you can speak to that, but just generally what has been the feedback you've gotten from them?
Employers like being able to call the office and reach you, right? As long as you get on the phone and have a conversation with them, that's step number one. They're pleased with that part. So we've had several meetings, building up relationships, talking about partnerships. Also, what's important to us is talking about mentorship. If you want to be engaged with Grambling State University and our students in the future, you have to bring something to the table too, right? So we're looking for people who want to mentor our students. Not just, I saw the students one time at the career fair, but mentoring, helping our students from freshman year to senior year and becoming that professional that we know it takes years to develop into. Professional doesn't happen just in your senior year when you realize you're graduating, right? This is a process, and we're gonna be working on that progress from freshman year. I had this thing called day one, building a resume from day one. When a student walks in as a freshman, I want them working on their resume. Part of what career services, part of what we have to do is we have to have things that they can put on their resume. If it's their strengths, right? If it's just building their competencies, if it's looking. I like our students to think about their resume like a bucket list. In 4 years, when you get ready to graduate, what do you want on your resume? And from that, how do we put those opportunities in front of a student to make sure that in 4 years they have those things on their resume?
Well, and that somewhat aligns really well with first year experience and them teaching the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind.
Right.
So you see that there is this alignment and consistency across the campus in having our students to think about being prepared for that moment.
Definitely. And I'm working on right now, I hate to say it out loud because we haven't gotten it all the way organized, but in the next few weeks, we're planning luncheons with academic departments. We want to sit down and talk to all of them. We want to know Okay, what has been your experience with career services, and what do you want your experience to look like? And we're going to have 3 of those meetings, one with academics, one with student affairs, and one with athletics. We want to know, what do you need from us? So before I build my schedule for the fall, I want to build in with their ideas, with their needs. I don't want to do it alone. This has to be a all-around partnership, and we're looking for valuable partnerships. Um, I want a situation where teachers feel very comfortable just picking up the phone and saying, Miss Livingston, we were talking about something in class yesterday, and these students don't know what X is. Come and talk to my students. I want students to be comfortable walking into my office saying, Miss Livingston, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. How do we get there? So yeah.
And of course we talk about this in kind of general terms. I want to drill down and be a little more specific. One of the students that I talked with recently, Derek, who's going to be interning with Deloitte in Dallas, a 3.7 GPA, double major accounting and CIS from Ghana. Okay,
Yes.
what other students do you want to highlight real quickly on in terms of things that internships or just some that stand out to you that you'd like to talk about?
I have a young man, first of all, Jamil Rashad, was offered 2 internships. As a matter of fact, the day we had HBCU Heroes, he's one of my interns. He decided, I asked him to come work for me. I told him I needed a marketing team that would work for free. He said, well, I got you, Miss Livingston. And so HBCU Heroes was here. He was here in the room 10 minutes. And the lady who leads, the Tracy Pennywell, she said, that's going to be my next intern. I said, okay.
And
Okay.
I'm sure his dad is probably watching right now, Ken Rashad, who's Graham fam, and I know that he and his wife are incredibly proud of their son and all the work he's been doing. I think his first internship was in not Los Angeles, in San Francisco.
Wow.
So again, just another example of a phenomenal student who's doing amazing things here at Grambling State University.
He is. We have a young lady. I won't call her name because she's so private. But since the career fair in New Orleans, she's spoken to Tennessee Titans, Saints, and a couple of other teams. And they're talking about bringing her on not as an intern. They're talking about bringing her on as a real communication specialist.
Nice.
And so it's cute because she comes to the office and she's like, I don't know what to do next, Miss Livingston, and we just walk through it. But that's what I want. I want when a student, when they have an issue that they need to walk through, I want them to come and sit down and let's talk about it, because we're trying to get her to this next level, and I'm trying to go to those games, right?
You and me both.
The
Take me
Eagles,
too.
the Eagles is the other team, because I say, you know what? I need to see Jalen Hurts play again.
You
right?
and me both. Look, thank you so much. Our time is unfortunately up, and we just appreciate all the great work you're doing. Thank you so much, Ms. Livingston.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Absolutely.
All right, we are back here with this segment of Prez Says. I'm Charles here with Richard Gallo and Dr. Holt from our history department. Dr. Holt, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to be here. Things are a little changed up. I know you've been used to being in the studio recording your history podcast, and now you're in front of camera. So I know that you'll still do fine. For those who don't know, Dr. Edward Holt is Grambling State University's Department of History head, and he's received $60,000 from the National Endowment for Humanities for a project titled Voices of Grambling, Virtual Reality Experiences. Can you tell us a little bit about the project and what you're working on and what it entails for us, Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. So this recent funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities is actually our third grant-funded phase. We started with a $7,000 proof of concept grant from the Louisiana Endowment of the Humanities. We followed it up with $100,000 from the Social Science Research Council, and now this is phase 3. In essence, what we're doing is trying to recover and preserve the history of Grambling and the African American experience in northern Louisiana. This particular phase is going to be one that deals with virtual reality. So in the maintenance area, there are old blueprints of every building that currently exists and was also maybe taken down. We're going to take those, digitize them, build them up from the ground, put on the Oculus headset so that you can go to Grambling in the past and walk around like it would have been in the 70s.
That's pretty impressive. I know with the VR headsets, they're constantly improving with that technology, so that's going to be pretty cool to see. So when you are looking for people to help contribute to the oral history of Grambling State University, what type of process do you use to select those individuals?
Excellent question. So that really builds on phase 2. And so, as you're walking around, we're hoping to take those oral histories, or we will take those oral histories, overlay it so you can hear people from that period talking about what it was in that period. And there's something in the field known as the snowball effect, where you find one person that connects you to somebody else and sort of moves on. The great thing about Grambling is there's such a community. So you talk to one person, they say, oh, well, you need to go talk to so-and-so, you need to go talk to so-and-so. Our grant's also fortunate that a member on it is Miss Eunice Days, member of the History Department, also former city council member, and she's able to facilitate those connections. Of course, she's not the only person that can help facilitate those connections. And the final thing that I would say is we really believe the idea that Grambling is a place where everybody is somebody. So we want everybody. We want to hear everybody because we think everybody's experience is valid and worth telling as part of this oral history project.
And Dr. Holt, as a graduate of the history program, I'm blown away, quite frankly, at the innovation that you've brought to the department. Bringing history as well as today's technology, the emerging technologies, to make this an interactive experience for everybody. Just tell us how you kind of were able to merge those two, history and the technology.
So one thing that I would say is, as a department, we're really focused on student outcomes, making sure that students, through the study of the past, can get the jobs of the future. So in the field of history itself, we're having what's called a digital turn, the idea of incorporating in this technology to tell the stories in new ways, not just reading a document like you might have done in the day, but really try and bring in the technology and integrating interdisciplinary teams with people like computer science and fields like that, and then bringing it all together. We're fortunate at Grambling to have some of those resources like the audio center that Mr. Talbert's let us use over there, so we can record things like our podcast. And if people are interested, they should go check out the Voices of Grambling podcast wherever it's streaming. You can even listen to President Gallot, who is on one of the episodes of season 1, and we're hoping to drop season 2 really soon.
Well, good. And so what has been the student response to having VR and the other technology as a part of their history matriculation?
I think it's been really eye-opening for students about what you can do with a history degree, that the possibilities really are endless. It's really learning that skill set, and you can translate that skill set to other places, so students' eyes are opened about the things they could do. And we have students that are taking this technology. We have a student that's working at with the Smithsonian Library of Congress, the Smithsonian branch out in Chicago, and so students are really taking this and really finding something that speaks to them and being able to translate it into real opportunities for themselves.
And I guess this is probably a pretty good recruiting tool as well, I would imagine.
Yes, obviously everything has a history, and because everything has a history, people should be able to find their own interest in it. And so certainly one aspect that we would hope is to be able to grow the history program, because we would say that it has a real importance in making sure that the legacy of Grambling is the legacy, or rather the history of Grambling, is preserved.
Well, and I'll let you take this opportunity for any aspiring college students who may be undecided about a major, why they should consider majoring in history, and especially majoring in history here at Grambling.
Well, as I would say, everything has a history. And so we really hope to show to the students the diversity of options that are out there. You can come into history and not just be a teacher, although of course teacher, a wonderful profession, and we certainly support and encourage students in that, but really there are other options that are out there. And so through these digital ventures, we're hoping to integrate students that enjoy being on the computer, enjoy being on the phone or the screen, to show them there's a real use to those skills integrated in with history as well.
And I guess you could use that degree to go to law school, maybe even be a university president, huh?
Exactly, that really helps out. And I just, since you mentioned that as well, we do have the Law and Society track, where we basically have one-on-one mentorship and advisement for students wanting to go to law school. And we also host the annual pre-law day, where we bring in regional law school recruiters to really talk one-on-one with the students. And like you said, you can even use that history major, go to law school, and be a college president, as your example has shown.
Well, and as I'm thinking about your integration of the emerging technology, I certainly wish that had been a part of, back in the 80s when I was in school here, but it was really more of a means to an end, that I needed a degree to go to law school, and of course, with one Dr. Mildred Gallot being the department head at the time, it was certainly a good path for me personally. But again, for those students who may be undecided, or some who have different career ideas in mind, certainly history, majoring in history here at Grambling State University is certainly a great path. And I just want to thank you, Dr. Holt, for taking time to stop by Prez Says this morning. Any parting words for you?
Thank you for having me, and we look forward to showing off what we're going to do next.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you, Dr. Holt. We are back with our final segment, well, our final guest for this segment of Prez Says. Two special guests we have in the building with us here today. We have Miss GSU and we have the senior class president. How we doing today? How?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. Graduation is 7 days away, so.
I know.
I saw you had a little countdown going. I mean, you had like the days, the hours,
And the
the
minutes.
minutes, yeah, seconds, yeah.
Instagram gonna show it. I'm doing good. A little tired. Definitely ready for graduation though.
So where are you two from? I know you're a local student here. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where you're from here for those who don't know.
Well, I am a native of Grambling, Louisiana. I've been here my whole life. I've never been anywhere else. I started at Alma J. Brown. I did graduate from Ruston High though, so.
Okay. And how about yourself, sir?
I'm originally from Lake Charles, Louisiana. I started at Pearl Watson and graduated from the illustrious Western Mary Magna High School.
Okay. So what brought you to North Louisiana to Grambling State University? What stood out?
That's a real good question. And every time I get asked the question, it's like a back and forth thing. But Prez, I'm pretty sure you know Mr. Jamal Ruffin and the Office of Recruiting. He gave me a phone call one day and was like, "You not where you supposed to be." I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "You not at the school you're supposed to be at." And before I came to Grambling, I went to McNeese State University in Lake Charles.
Okay.
And he was like, "We want to give you a better opportunity. We want to see, how you enjoy Grambling. We know it's not what you used to, but let's try it." So I ended up coming out here for a campus tour and fell in love with it from there.
Excellent. How about yourself, ma'am?
Well, Grambling is home, so my parents attended Grambling, my cousins, uncles, my sister. So I did have other options and choices, but I chose Grambling because it just felt like the perfect choice.
So I'm interested to know about you all's GSU experience. We can kind of compare apple to oranges here, being that you're from a ways away and you're kind of local here. So what type of experience did you all share, like kind of starting from your freshman semester, matriculating through up to graduation point?
Well, freshman year, being that I am a local, I didn't really get out much. I tried to keep my same friends I had in high school and that I grew up with. But I did go to like the concert during homecoming and spring fest just because I had been going to them, but now I'm a student. I said, well, I'm going as a student. But my sophomore year, going into my sophomore year, that's when I decided, well, I'm going to get involved. I want to be in SGA. I wanted to be on the Royal Court. And so I really just jumped in and I went full throttle. So I was mid-sophomore, and then when it was time for elections for my junior year, I said I didn't want to do anything. I knew I wanted to run for Miss Grambling, but I said I wanted to just sit back and relax. But I ran for junior class vice president, and I was promoted to SGA vice president, and that was one of the best decisions I could have made because it opened so many doors and provided so many opportunities, and it was an enjoyable experience.
And what about you, sir?
For myself, well, I actually came my sophomore year because, like I said, I did my first year at McNeese State University. But my sophomore year, it was kind of like an eye-opener. One, I had never experienced the HBCU. I had never actually got to see what it was like, see what Welcome Week looked like and stuff like that. So my first year here, I was a little wild. I did still join F-Sub. I became the photographer and videographer my first year here. Of course, that next year was COVID, so it was kind of weird, but I ended up winning the vice president of F-Sub. And just after doing so much work, putting in so much work, I finally dedicated myself. I was like, I want to go for the big position, so I went for it. Well, my junior year, I went for the president of F-Sub, and I really just wanted to network as much as possible, learn as much as possible. I actually wanted to see the good and the bad of Grambling, just knowing everything of what was going on, trying to get myself out there with the students. And then senior year came around, and I sat back and had a conversation with a couple of the other members that was in SGA the year before, and they were like, you should try and come to the SGA side. And I came to that side and never looked back.
So, Cortland, what would be your advice to incoming FSUB leadership, and what would you say to them as they begin, or as they begin to prepare for the fall semester and in the leadership of the Fayetteville Student Union Board?
That's a very, very good question. Okay, I'll leave them with three things, and this is not necessarily just for the new president, vice president, business manager of FSUB. This is more so for just about everybody. One, you never know what opportunities you have unless you speak up. Two, don't be afraid to get told no, because it's not gonna go how we always want it to go. Some stuff is just, that's just how it is, and some stuff is, it's a back and forth thing. But don't be afraid to get told no. No don't mean it's the end of the world. It's more so just figure out another opportunity or another way to do it. And the third thing, if you need help, speak up. Really, I'm about to say, I know for myself, I missed out on a lot of stuff. I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I didn't say nothing. So really, just speak up.
And Kelly, for you, having reigned as our Miss Grambling for the year, what would be your advice to incoming Miss Grambling Madison and the other members of the Royal Court?
Well, to Maddie and the other members, indulge in it. Take it all in. It's gonna go by so quickly. We actually just had our dinner last night, our little final dinner, and we said we don't think any year in college went by as fast as this year did. It's gonna be times where you're gonna be up all night and you're gonna have to get up early and travel and do all types of things, but it's all worth it. It's gonna open plenty of doors. You'll network and meet many, many people. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I loved every bit of it, and like I say, just love on each other because you're gonna be with them all the time. Even with the guys, you're gonna be with them, and so you need to bond before the season starts or before the actual years begin, so that you'll have that relationship when the time comes, because you're not going to be able to be separate from them. It's always going to be you all. So, and enjoy it. It's fun.
Last question for you, Cortland. I was at Mount Zion this past Sunday for the last college day of the semester, and something happened on Sunday. Tell them real quick, Ed.
I opened up a new chapter in my life, and Prez, this is kind of the first time I'm saying this to anybody, but I made a kind of wish to myself, or a goal for myself, that once I was able to see graduation after everything that had happened, just losing family members, just different things of the course of me being in college, I said I wanted to open up a new chapter in my life. So I went to a good friend of mine, Zach, and I let him baptize me at Mount Zion.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you, and as I saw you taking that dip in the water on Sunday, I just, having seen you over these years and to see you make that commitment to God and to everybody there, I just want to say congratulations, and I know God's got great things in store for you, and I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you, Prez.
All right, we're going into our next break.
We are back here for our final segment of Prez Says. I'm here with Richard Gallot, president of Grambling State University. Prez, we had an informative show today, packed full of beautiful people and wonderful information.
Absolutely, and of course, just thinking about having the Commissioner of Higher Ed here on campus today, and what that means to our university community, that she's taken the time to be here, as well as there are a couple of members of the Board of Regents who will be here. Christian Creed, who's a lawyer from Monroe, that we all know. All you need is Christian Creed, or Christian Creed is all you need. He's here on campus, as well as former Senate President Randy Ewing, who's also a member of the Board of Regents, to do a tour of the campus and look at a few things that are priorities for us coming up. So again, having them physically here on campus is something that we're really excited about. And of course, to see Miss Grambling and and as she's preparing to graduate, Cortland, I'm so proud of him and seeing his journey throughout. This is one of those bittersweet moments,
right?
Where you get to know students and you see their progression and see them mature, and then they graduate.
Yes, and it happens so fast. It seems like just yesterday they were freshmen and sophomores, and now they're off to become the chapter 2, you can say, of their life. Congratulations to that young man as well. I've attended Mount Zion on those college days, and they always have a packed house when it's college night. So it's good to see that our college students are keeping faith, first and foremost in their life. We got some stuff coming up here next week, Prez. We got commencement ceremony coming up. What can we expect out of commencement ceremony?
Well, our speaker for commencement will be Selena Cuff. Okay. Most recently, she served as CEO of Sodexo Magic, and so Selena, has been such a force in business all around the world, quite frankly. A Harvard business grad, and someone that I have enjoyed getting to know through our partnership with Sodexo Magic Johnson and Sodexo. So to have Selena here to be our commencement speaker, I think is something that our graduates will certainly understand the opportunities that are available. Sometimes you spend these 4 years here and not fully appreciating that there's a whole world waiting and opportunities that are there. So we're certainly looking forward to her coming and being a part of it. We will also have a special presentation that we will do during the commencement exercise involving one Mr. Earl E40 Stevens.
Okay.
So I'm going to just leave it right there for now. But for
Good
any
little tease.
any E40 fans, you may want to show up on next Friday, because he will certainly be here. But again, as I think about and as I conclude my 7th academic year here as president, again, seeing a lot of the students like Kelly, that I've literally known her entire life,
right.
And so to just feel that sense of pride that someone who grew up in Grambling, has matriculated here, is graduating and going out. She's a biology pre-med major. Just to see the accomplishment, I think, is something that this is what it's all about.
Exactly.
Graduation is what we want all of our students to be able to see. I tell them all the time, my goal for you is to meet in the Hobby Assembly Center and to be able to shake your hand.
And take their picture.
That's right, and put that degree in your hand. So that is what this enterprise is all about, is getting students to graduation. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I tell students all the time, it's not where you start or where you're from, but it's where you are now, and matriculating, like you said, from being local and then going all the way up to graduation is definitely a feat that all of our graduates should be commended for. We got some other big news. On our last show, we teased the 1901 Day of Giving. It was a 24-hour period for alumni and friends to come together and support the university. Just want to give us an update on the numbers here. It looks like Grambling State University helped receive 165% of our goal, for a total of $415,099 raised overall. That's an awesome target goal to reach, Prez. What type of things can we look forward to with utilizing those funds that have been raised for us?
Well, you know, and again, when we think about graduation and our students, you know, graduates going out into the world, into the workforce, you know, so many have now gotten involved in giving back, okay?
Yes.
And, you know, ultimately, the state of Louisiana is only providing a little less than 25% of our operating budget. It takes
Right.
money to run this operation.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, there are lights and there are, you know, utilities and there's payroll. There's all these things that it takes to make this operation work. For our students who are traveling to different conferences, for instance, you know, all of these things take money. We had our student leadership initiative students to travel to Atlanta just 2 weeks ago, and so again, all of these things are impacting our students, and they're growing and gaining from it. But we have to pay for that, and so having these investments from you know, on a day of giving, certainly increasing 165% year over year is impressive. But I believe our graduates can do more. Our friends and supporters can do more to help us do more to support the mission of Grambling State University. So I thank everyone for their investments in our students. But I want to encourage and challenge everyone to make those add more zeros to that number, not just on the day of giving, but all year round.
All right, Prez, I'm hearing the music. It looks like we're about to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us here on this episode of Prez Says. I'm Charles Talbot here with Richard Gallot, president of Grambling State University, and we will see you on our next episode. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Charles.
No problem, no problem.